everyone. Today I'll be reviewing the very last Barraki Reimagined MOC Spinax. I don't know if Spinax is technically considered a Barraki in Bionicle lore, but I consider him one since he's an aquatic creature just like the Barraki, and he has a very similar head. I know the actual Spinax set was more of a dog creature, but I decided to go with an upright stance, and I think he looks a lot more menacing this way. He's about 11 inches tall when you stand him up next to a ruler, so that means he's a little above average. I believe the average for the Barraki Reimagined MOCs is about 8.5 to 9 inches tall. We'll go ahead and start off the detailed review with the legs. I really like the leg design. I think I did a pretty good job making his legs just long enough for this MOC. I've been trying to make my MOCs more proportional lately just because I've had some comments of people saying that I need to make the legs a little longer, and I do agree because I typically make very short, stubby legs. I like the use of these silver shoulder plate pieces for knee armor. I think they look pretty good. I like the use of the second gen Bionicle armor plates in silver to cover up the outside of his leg, or of his lower leg. I used these two armor plates that actually came from Spinax to cover up his thighs. I used those pieces sparingly because I think I only have 3 of them, but I thought it would be best to use some original pieces from Spinax for his MOC. I used 2 wires, as you can see, 1 on each leg. Those run all the way to the back and connect into these armor plates that also came with Spinax. The back of the legs are closed up pretty nicely, and I think they actually look pretty good. This is a MOC that is rare. It actually looks good from the front and the back. At least for me, that's kind of rare. I tend to ignore the back of the legs. There's not really anything else to point out on the legs. I did use pulley wheels on the inside and outside of the legs just because those pieces are very broad. They cover up a lot of space. So they're very useful, especially for the inner parts of the legs, because they're thin and they're easy to connect. Well, that's all I have to say about the legs, so now we can move on to the arms. I really like the arm design. I think it turned out looking just really cool. The hand is a design that I've never used before. I saw this 3-clawed piece in the bin, and I thought that it would make for a good hand. Unfortunately, the thumb is the only thing that moves, well, besides the wrist. I did leave this axle slot open, so you could include a weapon if you choose to do so, but I did not make a weapon for this MOC. I just gave him these hands, which are good enough weapons on their own. They look like they could do quite a lot of damage. I like this Bionicle armor plate piece with all the ridges in it, and this Bionicle armor plate piece from, I believe, 2016. I think that's when that piece first came out. That's a very useful piece. Unfortunately, I only have 4 of them, so I don't use them very often. But that piece really closes off the inside of the forearm. I really like the forearms. I think they look really cool. The upper arms are pretty good as well. They're nice and closed up too. The bicep and tricep stick out a lot, and so does the shoulder. I use one of those spiky half oval pieces just to round off the shoulder design. I just really like his arm design. I think it looks really good. Unfortunately, his elbow does not move all the way up like it should. It stops because this piece sticks up a little too far. But that's okay, because you can pull his elbow way back. That's actually too far, but I over-adjusted for the fact that you couldn't raise his arm all the way. His shoulder has a nice range of movability. You can move his arm quite a lot this way, but that's really all I have to say about the arms. I think you've seen enough of those. Now we'll move on to the body. The body design works well with the MOC. I think the body is probably what I did best. I used 2 more of those Bionicle shoulder plates just to slope his chest down to his legs. I think that looks pretty cool. It has a nice layered effect. That does look pretty organic. Unfortunately, he doesn't keep that organic aesthetic because these 2 armor plates really don't look organic, especially because they don't slope down into his body, which I should have put a wire probably, or some sort of piece to make those slope down, but that's unfortunate. I don't think it really takes away from the MOC though. I gave him a belt of sorts. I think that originally had vials in it. I could be wrong. That was so long ago. This MOC is actually like 2 months old. Around back, you can see that I kept all 3 of his original spiky rubber pieces just to be original to the set. And not much of this MOC is actually very true to the set, though. I used one of those big 1.0 shield pieces in black to cover up some empty space that needed covering. His back is really nicely closed up, I think. As you can see, these 2 big tube wires run all the way from the back to the front around the middle of his body. That's really all I have to say about the back. I used the chest plate from one of the skeletons from the 2nd generation of Bionicle, and I think that looks pretty cool. It does have some blue and red in it, which is not true to the color scheme, I guess, but it doesn't really matter because this is really just a 2-color MOC. It has black and silver, so I don't think those colors really matter. That's just a cool printed chest plate as it is, so I decided to add that. I gave him a white eye just to look like he's been in a battle and he lost it. I think it looks really cool. I added a few pieces around the top and back of his head just to add some detail. That's really all I have to say about this MOC, though. I can't wait to put all of them together at last for the very last Barraki Reimagined video. I think they all look really cool, and I can't wait to see them all together. As always, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe, and please check out some of my other videos.